Welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive.
Definitely. Always eager to learn something new.
Before we get started, I do want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, ADVACO.
Oh, yeah.
They really are the vacuum pump experts, especially when it comes to, remanufacturing and service and stuff.
Right.
And they have this awesome 2-year warranty, which is pretty amazing for the industry.
That's impressive, yeah.
So if you're ever in need of a reliable vacuum pump partner, definitely check them out at www.advaco.com.
Sounds like a great resource. All right, so what are we diving into today?
Well, today we're stepping into the world of semiconductor fabs.
Ooh, interesting. The places where they make all those tiny chips that run, well, practically everything these days, huh?
Exactly. And we've got a bunch of really cool articles and some firsthand accounts to help us understand why second source providers are becoming so important in this industry.
Oh, that's a good topic. Because I feel like most people, myself included, don't really think about where those chips come from.
It's true. And the manufacturing process is mind-blowingly complex. We take them for granted, but so much goes into making them.
Yeah, I bet. So how do second source providers fit into all of this?
Well, they're kind of like the unsung heroes, They're the ones making sure these fabs can keep running smoothly, even when things get tough. To get us started, I found this great anecdote from K. Kolb Jr. It really captures the kind of high-pressure environment that these fabs operate in.
Okay, I like a good story.
Right, so picture this. It's 2016, late at night in a fab. A team of engineers are working like crazy trying to finish this crucial upgrade project, right?
Oh, I can feel the tension already.
Everyone's exhausted, and one engineer accidentally hits the wrong button, and boom!
What happened?
A turbo pump, this vital piece of equipment, gets completely shredded into.
Seriously?
Yeah. Kolb describes it as aluminum confetti.
Oh my goodness. I can just imagine the colorful language that followed that.
I bet. But seriously, though, it just goes to show you how important equipment maintenance is in these fabs.
Oh, absolutely. Any little mistake can lead to huge downtime and, that means money lost.
Exactly. Millions, even.
Yeah.
And it really makes you appreciate companies like, our sponsor, ADVACO.
Right.
Because they specialize in keeping those vacuum pumps, which are absolutely essential in chip manufacturing, running perfectly.
That makes sense. I mean, the whole process is about creating these super clean vacuum environments.
Absolutely. No room for error.
Speaking of error, how do fabs try to avoid those aluminum confetti situations?
Well, one of the articles we have talks about this really interesting concept of a Department of Efficiency, or a DOE.
A DOE? What's that?
The article argues that, in a way, second source providers can actually act as this DOE for fabs.
Okay, how so?
Well, they can help address a lot of the inefficiencies that fabs face.
Okay.
One big one is the lead time for getting parts from the original equipment manufacturers, the OEMs.
Ah, I see. So if a fab needs a specific part and they have to wait forever for the OEM to deliver it, that's a problem.
A big problem. But second source providers, they're often able to offer much faster turnaround times.
Okay, that makes them pretty valuable then.
They're like the rapid response team.
So it's about speed?
Speed is definitely a big factor, but it's not the only one.
Right.
They're also often more competitive on pricing.
Oh, that makes sense.
And they can offer really strong warranties, sometimes even better than the OEMs.
Really?
Like the article specifically mentions ADVACO's warranties, which start as soon as the equipment's installed.
Oh, interesting. So you don't have to wait for the OEM warranty to run out.
Not at all. You're covered right away.
That's pretty significant.
Peace of mind from day one.
It's a smart move. And it kind of challenges that whole idea that you have to stick with the OEM for, the best service.
Exactly. It's not always true. And, it's not just about brand new equipment either.
What do you mean?
Think about all the older fabs that are still producing chips, for things like cars and airplanes.
Right, because those chips don't need to be quite as cutting edge.
Right. And second source providers, they're experts at keeping that older legacy equipment running smoothly.
Ah, I see. So instead of fabs having to shell out a ton of money for a brand new system, they can keep using their existing equipment and save a bunch.
Exactly. It's like giving those older tools a whole new life.
Makes a lot of sense. Especially in an industry where technology is always changing so quickly.
Right. Always moving so fast.
Yeah.
And the way fabs are working with second source providers is changing too.
Right.
It's becoming much more collaborative.
Oh, in what way?
Well, instead of just, buying parts when they need them, they're actually partnering with second source providers to find ways to be more efficient overall.
Interesting. Like a long-term strategy.
Exactly. And it's beneficial for everyone involved. If
Yeah.
they can help prevent those,
Aluminum confetti situations.
exactly. Then, the fabs save money and they avoid downtime, and second source providers build stronger relationships.
Makes sense. So it's shifting from just reacting to problems to actually being proactive.
Exactly. It's all about prevention. Now, on the flip side, let's look at why relying solely on OEMs can sometimes be a disadvantage.
Okay. Sure.
One of the biggest concerns is, well, the cost.
Right. That makes sense.
OEMs, they often have these really rigid service agreements, and they might try to push for upgrades that maybe aren't even necessary.
Oh, I see. So it can put a strain on a fab's budget.
Definitely. And the article points out that because a lot of the smaller service providers have been bought up by these big OEMs,
Consolidation.
right, it's left fabs with fewer options, less negotiating power.
So they're kind of stuck.
Kind of. And that's where second source providers can step in. They can offer a much more customer-centric approach.
So it's not just about the bottom line. It's about really understanding what the fab needs.
Exactly. And helping them make the most of their existing equipment without breaking the bank.
I can see why that would be appealing.
Oh, yeah. It's all about creating a more balanced playing field.
And it sounds like they have a lot of success stories, too. I mean, we've talked about a lot of the theoretical benefits, but are there any real-world examples of this working?
Oh, for sure. In fact, I've got another story here. This one's from an engineer who had a real-life vacuum leak nightmare.
Oh, boy. Another disaster.
Not quite a disaster, but definitely a close call.
All right, tell me more.
So this engineer is tasked with finding a tiny leak in this critical piece of equipment.
Oh, yeah. I can imagine how stressful that would be.
Extremely stressful.
Yeah.
And while he's searching, the clock is ticking. Every minute of downtime is costing the company money.
Oof, the pressure. So how do you even find a tiny leak like that?
Well, he used this really cool tool called a helium leak detector.
Helium leak detector. Never heard of that.
It's fascinating. Basically, they use helium as a tracer gas because it can seep through even the tiniest of leaks.
Ah.
And then the sensor detects the presence of the helium, which tells them exactly where the leak is.
So it's like super sensitive.
Extremely sensitive. I mean, you need that level of precision when you're dealing with the vacuum levels required for chip production.
That makes sense. So what did the leak detector reveal?
Well, turned out to be a worn cryoseal, a small but absolutely essential part of the vacuum system.
Oh.
And the frustrating thing is, it was something that should have been caught during routine maintenance.
So it could have been avoided.
Exactly. Which is why, that preventative maintenance that we were talking about earlier.
Right, with ADVACO.
Exactly. It is so crucial because catching these issues early can save so much hassle and expense down the line.
Absolutely.
And that's another area where ADVACO really shines. They're all about preventative maintenance, failure analysis, and they also offer that industry-best 2-year warranty to really back up their work.
It definitely shows their confidence in what they do. They're not just like putting a Band-Aid on things.
No, they're invested in the long term. They want to make sure those vacuum systems are running perfectly.
And that the fabs can keep producing those all-important chips?
Exactly. I mean, can you imagine what would happen if all the fabs suddenly shut down?
Oh, our world would grind to a halt. Our phones, computers, cars, everything.
And that's why these second source providers are so essential. They're the ones making sure that doesn't happen.
It's like they're saying, we stand behind our work. We know it's going to last.
Exactly. And we actually have another article here that goes even deeper into what ADVACO offers and how they specifically help fabs save money, increase profits.
Okay, so what are some of their key services?
Well, one thing that really stood out to me is their proactive uptime programs.
Proactive uptime. So like they're not waiting for things to break down. They're trying to prevent it from happening in the first place.
Exactly. It's all about using data and analytics to predict potential issues and address them before they turn into, those major problems we were talking about earlier.
That's got to be huge for fabs. I mean, we've already established that downtime is like the ultimate enemy.
It is. And they go even further. They do extensive failure analysis to try to understand why components fail in the first place.
Oh, that's smart. So they're not just fixing things, they're figuring out why they broke.
Exactly. And that helps them refine their remanufacturing processes and create even more robust and reliable solutions.
So it's like a constant cycle of improvement. They're always learning and getting better.
Totally. It's a commitment to quality that's pretty impressive.
And I bet the fabs appreciate that, knowing that they're working with a company that's constantly innovating.
Oh, absolutely. And then on top of that, they have their ISO certified quality standards.
Right. Got to maintain those high standards.
So it's clear that they're serious about delivering the best possible service and, ensuring reliability.
It sounds like they've got a pretty comprehensive approach.
They do. And to top it all off, they have really fast turnaround times and offer convenient pickup and delivery services.
Ah, that makes a big difference, minimizing the disruption to the fab's operations.
Exactly. They've really thought of everything. It's like they understand the pressures of the semiconductor industry like no one else.
They're really stepping up to the plate. So, okay, we've talked a lot about second source providers like ADVACO and the role they play, but to kind of bring it all back together, why are they becoming so crucial in this industry? What's driving this shift?
I think it's a few things, really.
Okay.
I mean, the semiconductor industry is facing so many challenges right now, right? Supply chain disruptions, rising costs,
Right.
the constant pressure to innovate and, just be more efficient overall.
Yeah, it's a tough business.
It is. And I think second source providers are stepping up to address these challenges in ways that, the traditional OEMs just haven't.
So they're bringing something new to the table.
They are. They've got this fresh perspective, this collaborative approach, and it's really resonating with fabs.
It's not just about being a cheaper alternative, it's about being a better partner.
Exactly. And it's not even just about cost savings anymore, although that's definitely a huge factor. It's about forming these strategic partnerships
Right, working together towards a common goal.
to really optimize performance,
Mhm.
make the industry more sustainable and drive innovation.
It's like they're helping to shape the future of technology.
I think so, yeah. I mean, think about it. Every smartphone, every computer, every smart device, they all rely on the smooth operation of these fabs.
And these second source providers are ensuring that those fabs can keep up with the, ever-growing demand.
It's amazing to see how these companies that might have once been seen as just a backup option
Yeah, just a plan B.
are now becoming essential partners,
Yeah.
driving the industry forward.
It's a great reminder that in any industry, you got to be adaptable and willing to collaborate, especially in one as, complex and fast-paced as semiconductor manufacturing.
It's about putting the customer's needs first, too. And I think second source providers really excel at that.
They're proving that they're more than just a backup plan.
Absolutely. They're key players in shaping the future of tech.
It really is fascinating when you think about it.
Yeah, all those tiny chips that power so much of our lives, right?
Yeah, and the whole world behind them, the precision, the complexity.
The constant innovation.
It's amazing. And to see how second source providers are, keeping everything running smoothly.
Yeah, what really struck me is how they're not just, maintaining things as they are, but actually pushing the whole industry forward.
They're not just fixing problems, they're coming up with solutions for the future.
Exactly. Combining that technical expertise with, really understanding what their customers need.
That's what makes them such valuable partners.
Well said. Big thanks to all our listeners for joining us on this deep dive into the world of semiconductor fabs.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in, everyone.
I hope you all learned something new about, the crucial role that second source providers play.
It's a world that most of us don't think about too often.
Yeah, but it's definitely one worth knowing about. And until next time, keep exploring.